copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. No copyright infringement intended. All rights belong to their respective owners.
This is War Cry. We're on the wall crying out for our children, our communities, our schools, our churches, our families. This is War Cry. Welcome to our reality. Gun violence. Chicago, Philly, Detroit, New York, Atlanta, just to name a few. Our black children are dying day by day. This is War Cry. Police brutality. Hands up! Don't move. I can't breathe. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Hashtag All Lives Matter to Christ. This is War Cry. Drugs, rape, mass shootings, school violence. This is War Cry. Galvanizing people to pray for our children and to take action. Let's march on Washington. We want prayer back in school. This is War Cry. Candles, memorials in every corner in our neighborhood. Who died this weekend? Oh no, not Miss Martha's grandson. This is War Cry. He was only 16. His brother died last year. He was only 13. This is War Cry. We the people. We're the elected officials. This is War Cry. We need the church. Where's the church? Only on Sundays. Get to the streets, church. We need you out there. This is War Cry. Girl, be gone. Boy, be gone. Mothers crying. Fathers being locked up. Welcome to our reality. Identity crisis. This is War Cry. Oh, they're trying to remove our history off the textbook. Oh, critical race theory? It makes them feel bad. It's our reality. Fake reality shows. We want the real truth. Stay woke. This is War Cry. HBCUs under attack. This is War Cry. Equal pay for what we do. We want a reparation. This is War Cry. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Wait a minute. Is that somebody else they're burying that looks like us? Only 12. This is War Cry. Let us come together and pray for our young people, pray for our communities, pray for our schools, pray for our churches, pray that the government gives us what we need, a fair opportunity. This is War Cry, home of the land, home of the brave, land of the free. Who's free? Our men are locked up. This is War Cry. Hashtag mothers against gang violence. Hashtag fathers who love their sons. Hashtag what would Jesus do? This is War Cry.
I know who goes before me. I know who stays behind. The God of Israel's army is always by my side.
This is War Cry, and you're back on with us, waiting for another dynamic show. And I am excited about it. I'm really excited about our guests and the information we're going to share with you. As you know, this is War Cry for our children. Our children. Our children. Our inheritance. Our children, your children, my children, our neighbors' children, this Gen Z generation. This millennial generation, this is War Cry for them. Somebody's got to go on the walls and battle this thing out to tell our kids the truth. We do not want them to die from premature deaths. We want them to live a good, healthy life and be prosperous. This is War Cry for our schools. This is War Cry for our communities. And our schools, you know the curriculums are not right. In some neighborhood, urban neighborhoods, we don't get the same curriculum as suburban neighborhoods. Oh, they say that when our young boys act out in the 4th grade, that they have some type of mental illness. This is War Cry. Somebody's got to stand up for them. This is War Cry. Our communities, we have the worst community service around. sewers backing up, waste going out, floods. This is war cry for our community. We need to organize our communities, community watches. We need to police our own selves and get back into the neighborhood instead of just the community. And this is war cry for our churches. Churches, you're supposed to be the light into the world. Not stand in a building, not doing anything, not half on Zoom and half off. We're supposed to be the witnesses that God left here. He said to occupy. What are we doing? Pastors, this is war cry for our Black fathers, our Black mentors, our Black women, our Black engineers, our Black doctors. I know you guys, a lot of you guys are doing all the work, but we need more. This is going to be a hot summer in New York City. You know, we got a lot of immigrants here. School is out. Our school district is a million plus. And guess what? All of them don't have jobs. And then when they come home, what do? So we need more funding in the community. You can hit us up on warcry.children@gmail.com. We want to pray for your kids. I get up each morning at 4 o'clock and I'm praying for your children. This is an urban radio station, so we tell it like it is. We are not public. We're not funded by the government, so we can speak the truth to truth. This is War Cry. You can hit me up on my website, War Cry for Our Children. And guess what? We have t-shirts that say, I am praying for our children. So when somebody wants to know who's standing in the gap, why don't you hit me up and get a t-shirt that says, I am praying for our children. Our War Cry number is 347-426-5302. 347-426-5302. And you know what we want? We want you to pick a school district out. We want you to pick a school out. We want you to stand in front of the school. We want you to wear these shirts in the parks. Let the enemy, the adversary, the small g of this world know that God still has a remnant. And this is War Cry. And I'm excited about it today. We're going to be talking about the Black agenda, because we need to talk to the grassroots people to come up with some grassroots ideas. Because everybody in the White House who's making all these proposals for us, guess what? It's not doing anything. And the money is not being filtered down. So this is War Cry. So let's bring the host on, our guest on today.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Yes. Hi. I am excited about today. We're going to talk about the Black agenda and what we think we need in order to move forward. Or let me just say it again, in order to take some steps ahead. That's it. We want to take some steps ahead. We can't totally fix the problem, but we can identify some of the problems and we can work at some of them. So I'm just going to have my guests introduce themselves to you again. We're going to have Dr. Eric. Dr. Eric, introduce yourself, followed by, I'm going to give her a name, Dr. Danielle Williams. Okay. Gotcha, Danielle. Okay, Dr. Eric, introduce yourself and tell us just a little something about yourself.
Thank you very much, Elder Valerie, for allowing me to be a part of this presentation and today on your show. My name is Eric Glaudet. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I started studying psychology when I came out of the military about maybe 20 years old. I was a paratrooper in an infantry unit. I injured myself, so I became eventually service-connected disability for being a veteran. So I have to start off by saying that I was walking down the street, I guess about maybe 5 years ago, and a young man stopped me, a little young Black guy stopped me and asked me, could he use my phone? And of course I said, why? You know, what's going on? He said, I need to call my family. I got to call my mother because my phone died and I want her to know where I am. So of course I gave him the phone. And after he finished the call, I just curiously asked him, where's your father? He said, I don't have a father. I am my father. That response was so shocking to me that I decided that I was going to do my part in getting fathers back into the home, locating the fathers, and wanting to make sure that they become a part of the family equation. Father plus mother plus child equals family. Usually that father is is the factor that's absent, conspicuously absent. So I've done a lot of research through the University of Southern California during my doctoral capstone. So now I just love what I'm hearing you say, because I would like to start with the elementary schools by having educated Black males to come into the school and teach from the first grade on up to the seventh grade, so that they can learn how Black people really are and how we can work with Black people. Because of the Juwanza Kunjufu fourth grade syndrome, we have this testosterone emitting energy of these Black boys who are about between the ages of 8 and 10. And you look around and all you have is white teachers, female in particular. They cannot handle them. And even you can have a father figure like we do in Fathers Forward. You have fathers, and we celebrate fathers and Fathers Forward, or father figures, rather, excuse me. And what we want to do is to train that little boy, teach that little boy, love that little boy, to make sure that he realizes that he is being seen and heard. So I'm thinking about a cradle to college or university platform, as opposed to cradle to grave. So let me just stop there.
Okay, now I wrote that down because we are coming up with the Black agenda. And so you'll see me writing things down, because it's got to start somewhere. So it's going to start with War Cry. And we're going to give it to our politicians and say, listen, this is we the people. And where is the money at that you get up and you lie? See, it's voting time in New York on Tuesday. We're going to go out and we're going to vote in New York, but we want to know, where's the money that's supposed to be in our school system? I participated in the participatory budget for the whole New York City. It was an example that they brought to the churches. So we actually got an opportunity to say we want money in policing, we want more money in job training, we want more money in this. So I've learned how we do that process. But Dr. Danielle, bring us in and tell us something about yourself.
Well, hello, my name is Danielle Williams, and I am the coordinator of Connect Faith. And at Connect Faith, we work with our faith communities to provide them support in addressing domestic violence. So that's what we do.
Now, let me ask you a question. So are you trying to say that you say you work with the interfaith community and addressing domestic violence? Are you trying to say that there is domestic violence in our churches?
It's domestic violence everywhere. Absolutely.
So,
everywhere. So yes, it's in our faith communities, it's in the homes, it's in a variety of spaces. So what we try to do is put the education and awareness out there, and then also to equip our communities to be able to not just respond, but to prevent domestic violence. And we do that by addressing some of the underlying attitudes and ideas that contribute to violence.
Now, let me ask you a question. A lot of our young people, especially a lot of our young men, they sometimes, especially in the urban community, they're always angry about various things. And could we draw a simulation to the violence in the home could be elevating or could be embedded in these young Black men to go out because they see abuse in the home? Would you say something like that, sister?
I don't have the information in front of me right now, but there have been studies that do show child witnesses of domestic violence are more likely to engage in gun violence in the community at an older age.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to get Dr. Gregory Johnson, step right in, sir. Glad to have you with us.
Good morning, Elder. My name is Dr. Greg Johnson. I am a retired mental health therapist, addiction counselor. I'm also a theologist. I have a doctorate degree in divinity and theology. And I'm happy to be here. And I'm a concerned citizen, and I'm a concerned disciple of Christ. What's going on in our nation today?
Okay, Dr.
Okay,
Johnson, just speak a little louder. Little louder.
Turn up your volume.
I
Turn,
am Dr. Greg
yes.
Johnson. I am a retired mental health therapist, addiction counselor. I am also a worthy disciple of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I have a doctorate in theology and divinity, and I'm just happy to be here to be a servant. And I'm concerned about our black men specifically as we deal in this world today where there is so much chaos and so much emasculation of the black male, and there's so much trauma among our black youth who are confused and don't know which way to go, and they're looking for answers, and they're not receiving the answers. They're getting rhetoric but no answers. And last but not least, they're not getting any understanding.
Okay, we're here to this morning panel to come up with some ideas for the Black agenda to make a change in our urban. Now, I want to start this off by saying, I want you, Dr. Eric, to just talk about the situation that our black boys deal with in the fourth grade. How they've been put in different categories and how the government gives the parent money when they find that our boys, which are really creative, hyper, and can I just say it like this? White people don't know how to identify with it because they got white teachers. Dr. Eric.
The first thing that comes across my mind is special education. But I'm a little concerned here because of the volume of the sound. Is there something going on? Because I hear an echo. Hello? Can you hear me now? I can't. Okay, but I can't hear you all. But I guess I'm sharing this. If you have any questions, I'm not going to be able to hear that based on what I have here. Hold on, let me just check. No.
We'll unmute if we have questions.
Answer your questions, but Dr. Elder, I cannot hear you at all.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Not now. No.
Okay, engineers?
You all can hear me though, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
I cannot hear you all. Let me see if there's some volume here. Issues. I'm not muted. I'm good.
Okay, let the engineers work it out. Danielle, can you hear me, Danielle?
So something.
Okay. Dr. Gregory, just can you hear me?
I am very struck by your question. I have looked at the educational system. My wife happens to be a high school teacher. I have been working with the Boys Harbor for boys and girls for a couple of years where I cut my teeth. And so I've been working with children of alcoholics and families, of course. I feel that this fourth grade syndrome, which is really coined by Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu in one of his many books that he has written, there is the physical sense of energy that comes from testosterone, which is a natural hormone in the boy's body. And it becomes a little bit, not a little, very active usually around the fourth grade. You'll see prior to that a nice little cute boy, maybe running around, but paying attention. But it seems like the testosterone, and unfortunately, they took a lot of the sports out of the school. They could at least direct that energy to that. But the woman who happens to be what they call white looks at this as a control problem and does not know how to handle it. Whereas a black male teacher may see that this is what's happening and say, okay, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to do some exercises, maybe even meditation or mindfulness or whatever at the youth level, but they have to have recreation. There's no more recreation out here. Very limited, if any. I look across the street. I live here in Lenox Terrace, and there's, I think it's 55 elementary school right across, they do let them out in the playground for a few minutes and then they bring them back in. That isn't enough time for these children. We have to revamp the educational system. We have to do that from first grade up to the seventh grade and make sure that we look at these boys as having the energy and direct that energy to constructive assistance as opposed to special education and the groups that they come in just for custodial purposes. These women do not know how to deal with these little black boys. You see it.
Let me come in, Dr. Eric. Let me come in for a minute, Dr. Eric. Let me come in. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I can hear you, but just black boys and black men, as the Reverend Doctor said, we have a target on our backs. When we walk, get out of school, walk out of our apartments, there is a target on our back, and you dispute that if you can, but I stand by that. I can only
Dr. Eric,
you documented by Norm Stamfel, who was a chief of police in Seattle, Washington, who revealed everything about how blacks are targeted, black males in particular, and now he has a target on his back.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Eric, let me ask you a question.
Let's see if I can.
At that fourth grade level, do you know they also determine how many kids will actually drop out in the 12th grade, won't graduate in the 12th grade? Do you know they also build prisons based on the sampling they get with that test at the fourth grade? All those things are taken into consideration with the failures that they have at that fourth grade. And a lot of those kids, I want to say the majority of them, and I want to let you guys, Danielle and Greg, come in. The majority of them are coming from broken homes and have been faced with trauma. Danielle, what do you think?
Well, this youth is not necessarily my expertise, but I agree with everything that you're saying and that the doctor shared. And I think that, in thinking about a Black agenda, it would be nice if we started with the kids, with the youth, and actually incorporated them into the process to determine what our agenda is and work our way up. I think oftentimes the youth can be an afterthought in terms of involvement in creating what the path forward looks like for all of us. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Have you did a sample on how domestic violence affects the Black child? See, because it has an effect on the children, and that effect that it has on them that trauma travels through the school systems. And see, we want to just blame everything on the child acting up. But when a child is coming from a traumatized home, they have a tendency to bring all that trauma. They can't process like we do. Now, we always say this right here: I don't bring my problems to work. But yes, you do bring your problems to work, because you can't separate it like that. Now, it may not affect what you think is your work, but guess what? It does affect something in you, period. What do you think about that, Danielle?
Oh, that's a given. When children are witnessing abuse in the home, that is a trauma. There is a heightened sense of awareness that occurs, and it does contribute to it. It will pop up in the school system. It'll pop up in behavior. And the key thing is, can we recognize it for what it is? Or are we just writing young folks off?
I think
oftentimes when people are cutting up, if you will, I'm thinking about, well, what is the root of this? Rather than saying, okay, this person is a problem, and of course it's a given that they'll act this way. No. What is the root of this, and how can we get to that?
Because as Black parents, even though there could be trauma in the home, we tell our kids, don't say nothing, don't take this to the school system. So they're sitting there traumatized. This Black little boy in the fourth grade has seen his mama with her boyfriend beating him up, and then loving her, then beating her up, then loving her. So he's confused about, should I love a woman or should I fight a woman? And every time I fight a woman, do it mean I love a woman? And then he acts out. So now, based upon that, Dr. Eric, I would say they building more prisons because they know this child, once they put him in a box, is not going to perform right because they're going to give them some kind of medication to medicate them. They're going to be a zombie and they're going to be processing all their life. Dr. Greg, come on in with that.
It is absolutely a fact that what a child experiences at home, he's going to carry on into his adulthood. There's no escaping that. I'm going to use myself as an example. When I was in the fifth and sixth grade, I remember the kids playing and I was playing. And most of the time when they were playing, I was usually trying to read or write. And there was a white teacher who thought I was a little strange. She would call my mother. She says, Miss Ellis, Greg doesn't seem like he is wanting to get involved with other kids. And my mother knew me, and you know what she told him? He says, probably because he don't want to be bothered with him. And I didn't. Because what they were doing to me didn't make any sense. It seemed silly. I was a kid, I remember. It didn't take much to bore me. If I didn't get anything out of it, I would go find something else or find something else that was interesting. I was always looking for something to motivate me. And a lot of our kids today, um, they're the same way. Now, when a kid acts like I used to do, they put him in special ed. He considered strange. You got to remember, the white supremacist organization, their ideology has always been to keep the Black child, the Black family, and especially the Black man down. That controlling factor that started in 1619 is not over with. I know a lot of us don't want to accept it. Actually, they want us to move past this, but it ain't going nowhere. It just got new and improved.
Absolutely. And guess what? Whether we want to realize this or not, Dr. Gregory, Dr. Danielle, or Dr. Eric, the fourth grade is the beginning of the school to prison pipeline.
Absolutely. That's what it is.
Okay, Dr. Eric, come on in with that, what I just said. School to prison pipeline. We are developing, or we are allowing our urban schools with the majority. You have a majority Black, well, not majority. You have a 100% Black school in our urban community, and you got a 75% white teachers. Go ahead, Dr. Eric.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I was offline for a minute there because of some audio problems. However, the educational system, if you look at each of the educational systems, you will see in the grade schools, particularly, but also let's go to the universities. You'll not find. I worked for Borough Manhattan Community College for 13 years in the counseling center. I had my hand on the pulse of all of the students who were having problems, and particularly combat veterans coming back from the war zone who wanted to go to college. But what I looked at was the education department. All of them are head up with persons who are or women in particular who have doctor's degrees, and that they are the full professors, so they cannot get fired. So they're there forever with that same syndrome of really white supremacy, and they don't even know it. I've just a sidebar quickly. I've asked each white person, what does it mean to be white? They can't answer it. Look at him. But the issue is what Dr. Gregory Johnson was saying, that it's the white supremacy technical thought. It's the psychological effect of being what we call survival, where they want to make sure that they stay white, stay in power, and stay what I would call angry. And they have transferred that to all of us. Everybody's angry. Everybody does not trust anybody else. You look at the kids now, they are breaking into jewelry stores, they're shooting each other, they are robbing and stealing cars. They're doing all kinds of things because of what they see. They're seeing all of this. You know, and honestly, I think you have to wear a bulletproof vest or some kind of body armor to go into the subways. I'm sorry to say that, but you see what's happening, and they have nerve enough to say that it's decreasing, not in my neighborhood. So what we have to look at is what is happening to that Black boy, and we all have to give our undivided assistance and attention and love to these kids, especially when they start acting out in the fourth grade.
Yeah, when they start acting out, we want to contain them. Dr. Gregory, I seen you smile, especially when Dr. Eric said that he asked white people, what does it mean to be white? So, Dr. Gregory, I'm going to let you come right in.
I'm trying to be Christ correct and politically correct on that because he hit the nail on the head when he said that. And I'll be honest with you. During my employment at New York City's Harlem Hospital Department of Psychiatry, one universal question I used to ask all of my patients, and I used to ask them, "Do you like yourself?" And they used to say to me, they would look at me strange, and some would even look kind of perplexed. And they says, "I don't know if I like myself because uh, I've always been told that um, I don't matter." So, and that's why I started drinking and drugging. So now you asking me a question now that I'm starting to get a headache because I don't know how to like myself because I've been taught that I don't matter. So how does somebody who don't matter learn to like anything? And I had one man tell me, he said, "You know why I beat my wife? And then when I beat her, I want to go commit suicide because I hate myself." He said, "I hate myself and I hate my wife because she's always trying to get me to love myself." And that to me is frightening.
Interesting. But that poses another question. I got to ask you guys, and I'm going to start with you, Danielle, then I'm going to go to you, Dr. Eric, then I'm going to go to you, Dr. Johnson. What does it mean to be Black? If Dr. Eric asked the question, what does it mean to be white? And they can't answer that. I've got to ask us the question. Danielle, what does it mean to be Black? Maybe we need to start with that. What does it mean to be Black? And what does it mean, Danielle, to be a Black woman living in 2023? Let's get to the root of this now.
I mean, well, that's a big question. And I think that's even something that not all Black people agree on. But I'll say for me, what does it mean to be Black? It means to me, we have a particular value system that is rooted in love, rooted in community, communalism, lifting up all boats. You know, I mean, one, hospitality. There's so many things, creativity, joy, laughter. You know, listen, you know, current events. If you are overwhelmed by current events because all this negativity is going on, you know, all you got to do is go to Black Twitter, and Black Twitter is going to have a meme or a joke or something to lift your spirits. You know, we are a people, we are the descendants of those who were enslaved in this country. And if those who know what that was like, then you know those who are descend from those people are special and strong and powerful and resilient. You know, to me, this is all what Blackness is, and our African heritage. And I want to also say, like, this is in contrast to, and I don't want to say this is in contrast, this is who we are. But as we are here in the United States, this is a culture of domination and control, dominating groups of people and controlling so that you can get the most benefit out of them for yourself. That's how we got here. That's how we ended up building this. And that is the
Danielle, let me come in. Danielle, I'm then gonna let you finish. Are you saying end time slavery? That we still are in slavery, dealing in an end time slavery, Danielle?
I think folks just need to connect the dots. The experiences today are not like what our ancestors went through, but we have to look at how the theology and the ideology of those in power is exactly the same. I talked to my mom about this last week. She grew up in Jim Crow in the South. This is just one example. Back in the day, they could go into jail. A Black person in there most likely don't belong in there, right? Or just pick up a Black person from off the street, hang them, and have a picnic and celebrate. That's illegal today. What do? Stand your ground law. Because some data came out 2 weeks ago, and it looked at the instances in which stand your ground took place. So in cases where whites killed Black, it was like 98% stand your ground applied, and the white person got off. And then in cases where a Black person killed a white person and did stand your ground, barely none of those went through. So I said to my mom, I said, so no, they can't pick up a random Black person and lynch them like they did before, but they codified a way that they could still kill Black people and get away with it with stand your ground. So,
Oh, girl, you don't open up so many different ways, girl. That's what it means to be Black and what they're doing to us. End time slavery, just so many things. It's just that they just changed the name of the game. Still the same game. They just changed the name of the game. Dr. Eric, what does it mean to be Black?
Blackness is awareness. Blackness is humanity. What we are looking at, this kind of behavior that maybe some of the people who I call non-melanated, who want to maintain that I'm going to just use position. They want to keep it that way. So they're going to figure out every kind of way to do that. And so they want us to be like them. But there is something that's beyond that. There's something that started thousands of years ago, that started in Africa in Kemet. And Kemet was only the visual example of what is happening with people who are melanated or who are Black. It's just a natural situation. So we are naturally our own. We're not trying to get out there and get suntan. We're not out there trying to be restored in any kind of way. We have that within us. So there is the emotional, there is the psychological, and there is the physical strength that you see. How you haven't seen any other culture, any other, if you want to use the word race, which I don't like using, but any other race that has survived all of this madness that we have. And it's been horrific. I love the way you were talking about the Southern Black male. That's my focus. My focus is to work with fathers who are the descendants of slaves from the South. They're different. They were torn away from their parents. Their parents were never together. Everybody was spread out. And then the strong Black male was used in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, as studs. They got the strongest Black men and then had them to have sex with all of them. This is history. This is fact. So what we...
Dr. Eric, I got to say something now. Do you think that type of trauma, what you just described, where the Black man has been pulled from the home and he was used only as a seed bank, a stud maker, dropping seeds here, not understanding the connection of family, do you think that trauma now is the reason why we have so many broken homes? Dr. Eric.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you all can look in the mirror at this, or you can speak with other people. That Black male from America is looked down upon. That person, that Black male, is like the least. They don't even want to hire them. They are afraid of us. And this is all because of the psychological effect that we have as being strong and to be.
Only Dr. Eric, I gotta come in again. I would not blame that on them. Sometimes
No,
our black men want to, they go into jail, they wear their pants hanging down, they want to portray this image of being a thug. Period. I gotta put it out there.
Information. We are identifying with the aggressor. We are being just like the people who are treating us as that. We identify with that. That's, some of us call it the Jewish syndrome, where the Jews who were being burned and put in these furnaces, they would tell on other Jews so they could make sure that they didn't get put in the fire. It's called identifying with the person who is really aggressing you. The same with domestic violence. It's you watch your mother get beat. I watched my mother get beat. And I said, I would never touch a woman. I don't care what it is. We can talk this out. We can do something else. There are options. There are other options. We only know about the fight or flight. We don't know about the other things, the mezzo mixture of maybe we need to not fight. Maybe we need to have somebody else to step in. But usually
we don't have those. We're not taught those kind of skills.
Absolutely.
We're not taught how to mediate. We don't go to counseling. We don't go to therapy. All we talk is, this is what my daddy did. My daddy hit my mama. My daddy left. My mama raised us. I came out good as a black male. A woman cannot raise a male like a male can raise a male. Now, my grandmother did. She raised some kids, but guess what? It's something different when we go in the bathroom. Hello, you can't show me, but I can show that son only so much. So we need the black men, but the black men got to stand up too. Dr. Gregory, what do you want to do? You want to come in now?
With regard to your question of what is
blackness?
What is blackness? Well, I'm going to answer that from a clinical perspective and a theological perspective. When we look at from whence we came, we are the greatest creation of God. First of all, we are the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Secondly, we are a chosen people. We are a spiritual people. We were built with the characteristics that no other race was ever built with. But guess what? These white folks who are going around, which is really the seed of Japheth, they know who we are, and they are angry and they're envious. There's a reason why they want to keep blackness down, because they know it represents power. It represents endurance and strength. Now, from a clinical perspective, what does it mean to be black? It means to be black, as far as the United States is concerned, it represents trauma. It represents bewilderment. It represents fortitude. It represents survival. It represents that I'm going to have to do what I got to do to survive. See, we have to accept the fact we are hated. We are a hated people. And if you ask most white people why they hate black people, most of them can't tell you why, but they know they hate us. And that's what is very perplexing to the black race. We're trying to say, well, what did we do? What is it about us that makes him hate us so bad? What do we have that we don't know we got that frightens them so much? What keeps them fearful? What makes them want to kill us as soon as they can? Why do they want to kill our youth by any means necessary? Because these people are psychotically afraid. You're looking at psychosis never before seen in mankind.
Dr. Gregory, I must come in. We do a lot of things. When I say we, I'm speaking about we as a people, and specifically the black male, the black youth that's a male. We do a lot of things to take away from our image that you guys are trying to paint. I mean, in our music lyrics, we speak derogatory things against our women. We join gangs because of the family structure. People would say because of the family structure, we join gangs. We kill each other. You know, we're the largest percentage in the prison system. We have the largest percentage of unwed mothers. We have the largest percentage of drop out of education. We are in ourselves hitting some all high statistics.
Yes.
We have the largest percentage of police brutality. We could go on, but in order for us to fix this problem, see, this is not a white problem. This is a black problem. Amen. And it only can be fixed by black people, black men, black women. A white man cannot fix a black problem. I can't fix a white problem. See, because I don't know what needs to be fixed in the white world, but I definitely know what needs to be fixed in the black community. So we ourselves got to fix our community. It's the black men got to fix the black boys. And it's the black women got to fix the black women. Dr. Gregory, what do you think about that? We have tarnished our own image. We did it.
A great statement that everybody should always remember. He said, never take your children to the enemy to be trained and taught. He even said that. He said, you don't ask your enemy to teach your children. That's the first mistake we made. Number two, we got to look at it this way. Everything you said was correct. Yes, the black man has something to do. But look at it this way. When you are stepped on like George Floyd was, and that was a physical stepping on. But there's an emotional, there's a psychological step around on the neck. But when you got somebody on your neck 24/7, and I'm not just talking 400 years in this country, this is going through history. See, we ain't no other race of people been put down and kept down like we have. We are, and there's been some good points to it, and there's been some bad points to it. It has, instead of making us weaker, in many ways, it's made us stronger. We are endured. If a white man had to go through what we have to go through, they'd be jumping out the window left and right. They could take it.
They would be
There is no stronger woman than a black woman, first of all. Because
Hey, Danielle, raise your hand.
there is no stronger woman than a black man. That's why I despise any black man when I see him walking down with a white woman. Because he don't know his history. He don't know what we went through. I have a son who's married to a white woman, and that was the most disheartening day of my life. And she with her big ass, with her big behind. I said, how could you
now, Dr. Gregory, I gotta pull you in. Let me pull you in. So what I'm hearing is that we need to fix our schools first, and we need to start teaching our identities in our school. That's what we need to. We need to put more black men into school systems to teach our black boys and black women. We really need our own schools. And we used to have some black schools, but because of economics, they faded out. Now, Dr. Eric, you had spoke about opening up a school teaching black men. I need you to go into that right now.
Well, thank you. I looked at where do you start with this, okay? And I've done some research. I've looked at the children's zone and how they work their things out. I looked at the schools that are chartered, and then I looked at the regular schools, and I said, wait a minute, all of these people come from colleges with educational systems. So then I looked at the educational system, and you'll find out that most of the students are white female. Other male, they may go to other kinds of things. And the boys, of course, goes into sports, basketball, baseball, and football. They are just struggling to keep their grades up only to do that. So what I thought of an excellent idea is to start a university. A USBC would be ideal, where we would have students guaranteed their degrees if they were Black, and that they were male, and that they would get paid well, and set aside that funding, which the sports people like the LeBron Jameses and the Kobe's, or what, he's passed away now, but the Curry's, everybody, they have all of this money. What are they going to do with it? We can approach them, start an educational system, a college or university that's just geared towards saving Black boys. That's what it will be, you know. Now, I know that we're going to have a security system. We're going to have people from the military who know what they're doing to be hired to protect these schools. I'm telling you, they will blow them up. They will wipe them out. They'll figure out some kind of way to do it. So the security system is very important. That's what we have missed all of this time. But the school system
let me ask a question, Dr. Eric. Let me come in. So what you're doing, you're talking about segregation.
Well, not
that you want us to be separate. And you know what happened?
No.
I thought we wanted integration.
I did not finish. Those students who happen to be non-melanated, if you will, and who call themselves white, I don't know if we would have those come in, because I'm going to start a campaign about changing that whole concept of being white or being Black, because it was a creation. It's a concept. So we can change concepts, I do believe. But the issue is anyone who is not Black can come in as well. But we're going to vet you. And we're going to do it like Reverend Johnson was saying in the psychiatry, and we can use Francis Cress Welsing's book as an example of how it's good. It's a tough book now to read, and I think we all should read the ISIS papers. If you don't have that book, I think you better get it, because that's going to guide you from a psychiatric point of view. Now, I wish we had a male psychiatrist like that would help us, but Francis Cress Welsing has it from a female psychiatrist point of view.
Now I want to say she was a personal friend of Dr. Gregory. He's just sitting there, but he loves her because he told me about it. Now, let me get back to you, Dr. Eric, and ask this question here. So you're saying that in some cases, segregation is good, that we should pull our own together. Are you also saying that no white female can teach a Black boy? Is that what you're saying? That no white teacher?
You know, it's a whole thing of, I'm going to use the word training. And not only just training, but it goes further than training. So you have to look at yourself. Each person that comes into that educational system that I'm describing has to come in a humble and in a way that they have been I'm trying
introduced to.
Well, no,
introduced to.
It's okay, introduced or exposed, but also you know, if I don't have HIV and I'm doing psychotherapy with people who have HIV, I can help them. If I am white and I know the history of what is happening, like Dr. Jacqueline Batalero or Dr. D'Angelo, they are on point. You know, and a lot of people say, well, a lot of people who call themselves white say, well, you know, they're missing this point or they're missing that point. They're not missing any point. The basic issue is, if you call yourself white, you are superior. You are first. You are all of that. So if you can back that off, I don't know if you want to give it up or not, but you're going to have to give up all of that stuff. And then
and understand who we are as a people. Danielle, what you think about what Dr. Eric said?
Yeah, you know, I agree. So, you know, as I said, my mom, she grew up in Jim Crow in the South, in South Carolina. And she also, her and her sisters also integrated schools. And, you know, one of the things that my mom said was, for them, it wasn't about integration. it was about, you're not going to tell us what we can and cannot do. Right. And so she was like, our Black schools were phenomenal. We didn't have the greatest books, didn't have the best desks, but we had teachers that loved us. We had teachers that knew us, that understood us, and they were being taught by people that looked like them. Now, my experience is different in that when my now mom moved to California, met my dad, got married in the Bay Area. They sent us to a all-white Christian Baptist school. And when I look back now, those were Reaganites. I didn't ID it then, but that's what it was. She said because she wanted me to get a good education. And she looked at the public schools nearby, and she saw that school to prison or school to dropout pipeline for the Black students there. So she said, I'm going to send you here. But when I got home, she had to do a lot of reinforcements because their ideologies is what they taught. And when I got home, I had Black school. She's like, all right, so we going to reverse what they taught you about history and society. We going to reverse that. Keep the science and the math. Keep what they taught you on how to read. History, erase that. Let me break it down for you. I had to write book reports from my mom on Black history. I hated it. And this is what I told her. I said, they aren't teaching me this stuff there. Therefore, it doesn't matter. Why are you? And I'm grateful because I hated it growing up, but it came back to me as I got older and realized I was Black because I was facing discrimination. And
we got to teach more. We got to teach more.
It clicks.
In the home.
I think it's okay for us. We should embrace being in spaces just with us. I don't see other groups rushing to integrate their spaces with other people.
Well, I see you shaking your head. Girl, shake your head again.
It's an expectation for us that we have to allow everybody in. I have not had invitations from a variety of communities to come into their cultural spaces that they create for them. It's nothing wrong with it, especially with what we have to go through. We have to do that on a deeper level because we're dealing with the hurdles that we're dealing with in society.
We are. Let me just come in. We are. And then we'll let Dr. Gregory come in. We are because guess what? I had some friends on my job who happen to be white and Irish, and we were really close friends. Matter of fact, I called them sister girls. And they went to introduce me to their family. And I think I told Dr. Gregory that. And the first thing she said was, "This is my Black friend." Now, why did she have to say, "This is my Black friend"? And then her mother said, "Yes, this is your Black friend, Valerie." Now, when I went to work that next day, I called her in the office. I had a big problem with that. I said, "You allowed for my race to determine our friendship. Because you're going to always see me as your Black friend, but your white friends are your friends." So they really look at us totally different. We want to be a part of them, but they really don't want to be a part of us. Dr. Gregory.
I'm so glad you had an experience because you found out you was really Black. And they let you know that you was Black. And then you got to look at it this way. See, I guess you might not agree with me, but you know something? Segregation, as far as I'm concerned, it was good. Because the only reason why white folks want to be segregated with Black folks, because they want to see what we were doing. It was a way of controlling what we did. I knew a lot of friends of mine who grew up in Black schools, and guess what? It's like Danielle said, they were happy. They were very happy. And most Black kids, especially from the South, they didn't ask to go to no white school. Only thing they wanted from the white folks, they wanted the same books. They wanted the same tools. They didn't want to be with them. They didn't want to be with them. One of the white kids want to be with them. They didn't want to go with them. They said, guys, the friend says, "Worse to say, I didn't want to be with them honkies, but they made us get on the bus. They didn't want to go." The white folks said they thought they were being scrutinized and and cascaded and pushed aside and they memories and their will taken it from us. How do you think them black kids They felt the same way. They didn't want to be with them white kids. They was fine. They didn't have you didn't have all this gang violence. They wasn't fighting. There was no discrimination, and didn't nobody call them a nigger until they went to a white school.
And we had teachers that cared.
And that's the main thing. When you
we had teachers that cared.
Because a white, I'm sorry, and I'm pretty sure the doctor will agree with me. White people do not understand the black culture. They never understood us. They try to understand us, and what they don't understand, they want to put into a category that needs help. That's where you got special ed coming from. Because it ain't strange to a black kid. It's not strange to a black teacher or black male, because he's fine. But anything that white people don't understand, either they want to destroy or they want to control. That's the whole thing.
Wow. This is such a great conversation. It's 12 o'clock. We spent a lot of time on schools, kids, and our children. I want to do a part two. I need to do a part two.
I think it's.
So how about if we get together and meet at 11 o'clock next week at the same time and go in depth a little bit more with the black agenda from the urban perspective? Because I see the school systems need to be fixed. I see that integration was not as good as we thought it was. See, I went to a white school. I went to University of Alabama, and we went there because, hey, it's the best school. But was it the best school, or was that just a whitewash that they tried to tell me? Because I had more racial problems there, as Dr. Gregory said, Dr. Eric said. I had more called the N-word there. I was isolated there. I had to run around and find people who looked like me there. I did not want to be there, but they said, hey, that's what you be. And when I went to the black college, everybody was family. So we need to have a part two. This is War Cry, and we need to do this again at 11 o'clock. So all that's on the line, we're going to do a part two. We want you to share this with everybody. Now, before we get off, we want to leave everybody with one word. What one word would you like to stick with our listeners today? Dr. Gregory, one word.
Unity.
Okay, Dr. Eric, one word.
Resilience.
Okay, Dr. Danielle, one word.
Okay, it's hyphenated. Hope dealers.
Yes. And I'm going to leave it with one word too, is to know your culture, black people. We need to learn our culture. We need to tell our young black boys that they were kings and queens. They have no heritage. They have nowhere to go. You ask a black person, where are you from? I'm from South Carolina. Well, after South Carolina, where are you from? Oh, I don't know. But you call yourself an African American. What part of Africa did you come from? Do you identify with Africa? Oh, no. So we need our culture to be taught in our schools. We need black pride to be restored. We need black history, and we don't need DeSantis. DeSantis, we're coming after you. We're trying to destroy our culture in Florida. We remember everything that happened in Florida, and guess what? We're going to fight, and Christ is going to win. This is War Cry. We'll be back. We have a commitment from our guests. We'll be back, and we want you to share. War Cry. Contact us at warcry.children@gmail.com, and let us begin to continue. If you have any ideas about the Black agenda, you can contact us at warcry.children@gmail.com, and we will answer your request. Back at you, engineer. This is War Cry, not political. This is War Cry. We're on the wall crying out for our children, our communities, our schools, our churches, our families. This is War Cry. Welcome to our reality. Gun violence, Chicago, Philly, Detroit, New York, Atlanta, just to name a few. Our black children are dying day by day. This is War Cry. Police brutality. Hands up! Don't move. I can't breathe. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Hashtag All Lives Matter to Christ. This is War Cry. Drugs, rape, mass shootings, school violence, This is War Cry, galvanizing people to pray for our children and to take action. Let's march on Washington. We want prayer back in you. This is War Cry, candles, memorials in every corner in our neighborhood. Who died this weekend? Oh no, not Miss Martha's grandson. This is War Cry. He was only 16. His brother died last year. He was only 13. This is War Cry. We the people. We're the elected officials. This is War Cry. We need the church. Where's the church? Only on Sundays. Get to the streets, church. We need you out there. This is War Cry. Girl, be gone. Boy, be gone. Mothers crying. Fathers being locked up. Welcome to our reality. Identity crisis. This is War Cry. Oh, they're trying to remove our history off the textbook. Oh, critical race theory? It makes them feel bad. It's our reality. Fake reality shows. We want the real truth. Stay woke. This is War Cry. HBCUs under attack. This is War Cry. Equal pay for what we do. We want a reparation. This is War Cry. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Wait a minute. Is that somebody else they're burying that looks like us? Only 12. This is War Cry. Oh, let us come together and pray for our young people, pray for our communities, pray for our schools, pray for our churches, pray that the government gives us what we need, a fair opportunity. This is War Cry, home of the land, home of the brave, land of the free. Who's free? Our men are locked up. This is War Cry. Hashtag mothers against gang violence. Hashtag fathers who love their sons. Hashtag what would Jesus do? This is War Cry.
I know who goes before me.